The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome everyone to this first session at episode 2 of Join Digital. This is BlueVenn's online pop-up conference happening every Wednesday, and it's great to have so many of you logged in today from all parts of the world. I particularly appreciate the early start for some of you, and wherever you're logging in from, a big thank you. It's a rainy day here in the UK this afternoon, so I hope it's a bit nicer wherever you are. So I'm delighted to have two of my close colleagues, Lisa Flanagan and Jim Kelly, on this first session today, and we're going to be taking you through the 5 critical elements of a customer data transformation. So this is actually a workshop we were due to host in Monaco this month at the One-to-One e-commerce Monaco event, and I've seen the content already, which is great. I know it's going to touch on some pieces of research I delivered last week at Join Digital, but it actually takes this research into a third dimension and how to enact marketing change from that. So if, like many of us, you're a marketeer trying to create significant changes in how you speak to your customers and what's been described as the new normal now, and how data is optimized in your business, then I recommend getting some paper and pen ready. While you do that, a quick reminder that we have 3 more sessions after this one. So in an hour from now, Jim will be rejoining us as in an expert panel to provide answers to the top 10 customer data platform FAQs. We then have an exciting Q&A session with David Raab from the CDP Institute. And then we're going to end the day with the last session, which is all about attribution and how you can use attribution for profitable change in your business. Again, I know attribution is more key than ever right now with budgets being frozen or cut, so make sure you stay tuned for that too. And finally, if you do have any questions during this live session, then you can type those into the questions box on the GoToWebinar technology on screen, and we'll try and address as many as we can at the end. Okay, I'm now going to hand over to Lisa Flanagan, our VP of Sales for UK and Europe, and Jim Kelly, our principal consultant here at BlueVenn, and they're going to take you through the 5 critical elements of a customer data excellence transformation. Over to you, Lisa and Jim.
Thanks, brilliant. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's right. Jim and I are going to be covering off today those 5 critical elements of a customer data excellence transformation, which I think sounds a bit more complicated if you think about it like that. What we're going to do and what we're going to explain today is, and I suppose the real idea behind this topic came from conversations and discussions that we've had with our clients every day, I suppose, for the last 5 years. And all clients, everyone that we speak to, are trying to achieve the same things. So every organization, when they're trying to make changes, all they're trying to do is increase capability, increase profitability, but using less time, less money, less people, and now more than ever. So when they're trying to affect change, and when you guys are trying to affect changes, it's kind of difficult to know where to start. So what we, and I suppose to see the wood for the trees at times. So what we're going to do is take you through some of the key topics, key categories, and that key thinking that we've taken other organizations through to help them plan, to categorize, and to set out what it is they're really trying to achieve. So looking at the themes, we're going to take you through the differences in the categories between resolution, aspiration, and evolution. Then we're going to have a look at what the market research says and how you can use that to bolster the changes that you're trying to make and underline your business case. And then we'll go through the 5 key elements that help drive and change transformation. So looking at first, if we look at the resolution and the aspirational pieces, what we do here, when we speak to organizations, and Jim will back me up here, what we try and do is split out the business focused areas into 2 sections. So we look at areas of resolution first. Now, these are all the things that a business is currently doing but needs to be improved. It could be resolving manual processes. It could be stopping, organizations working out of Excel documents and in silos, mitigating those risks, reducing your manual efforts, all of those things. And then a separate area to look at would be aspiration. So all those things that your business can't do, but really wants and needs to do. That could be hyper-personalization, it could be adopting machine learning, it could be looking at true multi-channel effective campaigns. So really, by chunking these things out in this way, you can kind of affect both sides of your business case that you're trying to build, and that's how we typically approach this piece.
Right. It's the conversations that we've had with quite a few clients over the last few years, right, Lisa, that trying to actually address every single issue you've got and work out how they're going to fix them, and if they have to change channel or provider, or what do they do with their data, and what's the value of doing this. We also have the discussions around what's the business case behind doing this. And I remember having the discussion with you and clients before that when you resolve issues, so you improve stuff you already do, it's really about reducing cost, reducing overhead, reducing the manual interventions that you have to do. And it tends to be about mitigating risk and reducing costs. So when you're looking at the business case of a project like a transformation, if you break it into resolution and aspiration, it also allows you to understand where are you reducing risk and saving cost. And on the aspiration side, where are you able to do things better? Where are you able to add value, do next best action or some machine learning or attribution in there? And I can remember having the conversation several times that it's been a bit of a eureka moment for some marketing directors to actually break it down. Well, this is my list of things I'm going to resolve, and these are the list of things that I want to achieve, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's it. And as well, the areas of resolution that we're looking at, I mean, obviously, marketing tech stacks seem to change more frequently than any other part of the business. And with that, then you get, I suppose, the way your processes and the way you're looking at things and the way things can become team specific. So looking at areas of resolution, that's it. It's just about identifying all those things that you're currently doing but should be and could be improved. And then the aspirational things, those things that you want to be able to do but you can't do right now. So, and that's all well and good. And I suppose creating those categories is fine, and being able to see the problems in that way is fine. But typically what we're finding is marketing teams are kind of being hindered by the technology, which kind of leads us on to what the market research is saying and how you can use that to underpin the change that you're trying to affect across your business. So if we look at the market research, there's a clear link between customer data platform deployments and business success. And we know this because last year in 2019, we undertook a global survey into customer data platform usage with London Research. And I do know that Anthony spent last week a whole session on this particular topic. We wanted to talk about it today because, again, there's some really key metrics in here and key themes that can help marketeers to lay out the differences between what you're currently doing now and what you could be doing if you are supported by the right technology. So if we look at some of the research, the first thing that we did when we were looking at the research is we asked organizations, did they have a customer data platform or not, which allowed us to help us split that data down the middle so we can easily compare results. Now, customer data platform owners were 2.5 times more likely to outperform on their marketing goals than those businesses without a customer data platform, which is a pretty impressive stat. And then drilling into the detail here on the next couple of slides, and we won't spend too long on them because Anthony has, as I said, devoted a whole session on this in last week's webinar. But if we look at some of the detail behind some more of the questions that we drilled into, and those were topics like personalization, attribution, adoption of machine learning, advertising, and then true multi-channel effectiveness. CDP organizations who wanted to go about these things were 3 times more likely to have those attributes than those without. If you look at then the detail behind them, so having like a full view of your customers across offline and online, CDP organizations were 41% more likely than just 5% who didn't have a CDP to be able to have that view. And then if you look at organizations who were actually utilizing and using sophisticated multi-touch attribution to do things like improve their paid media performance, 31% of organizations with a CDP were able to do this compared to just 6% who didn't have a CDP. And again, with machine learning, those making active use of machine learning for real-time decisioning, 26% were able to say they could do that compared to 6% without.
So what we're saying here is,
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, that even if you were to make a list of the things you want to resolve in your business and the things you want to aspire to within the marketing strategies, the market research is telling us that if you don't have a data foundation, you're likely to fail.
Well, that's exactly it. And as we kind of work through and move through these stats that, and again, like I said, Anthony's done this in a lot more detail, but to be able to identify where you are and to be able to identify what elements of CDP you have within your business, they've created a customer data maturity model.
Okay.
And you can kind of identify where you are on the maturity model, and then see how likely you are to be able to achieve the things that you're trying to achieve. And oh, there we go, perfect, thanks, Jim. So, and really what this does, it helps people kind of logically plot and strategically think about where they are, looking through stages 1 to 7. And again, I'd really encourage you to go and look at Anthony's webinar on this piece to go into this in more detail. I think he spends about 45 minutes covering off all of the topics within and helping you identify where you are and how to move through the 7 phases to get to, I suppose, utopia on where we are. So then thinking about, once we've done that, so what we've done so far is looked at areas of resolution and aspiration and categorized those. Then we've looked at, I suppose, the research, the market research, and looked at the maturity model and identified where you are in the model. It doesn't really end there. It's not as simple as that. Then you need to take a step back and look at the wider business. And what Jim's going to take you through next is those other pieces like the culture, the process, the people, and all those things to help affect change.
Yeah, so I've only recently seen this 7-stage maturity model, but it certainly outlines the fact that the unified customer profile is really the core foundation of this. So we've talked about being able to segregate your thinking into the 2 key topical areas of the resolution and the aspiration. And this maturity model appears to be the underpinning of the unified customer profile all the way up to advanced analytics. But one of the things that we get involved in very frequently is, well, what's the detail level of how you can map where you are on this model and how you can map the improvements that you're trying to get into? And the approach that we've taken with quite a few clients over the years is to articulate the 5 key elements, which is really where the name of this webinar actually came from, is the 5 key elements to understanding and planning change across time. So although you have an articulation at the highest level, aspirational, resolution, all that stuff, you need to underpin it by a platform that lets you be successful. If you listen to the market research, you're less likely to actually be successful. When you come to actually planning, well, what do you need to do and what do you need to change? And this is particularly relevant for organizations, large and small. We've recently engaged an organization who is, they know they have to bring about change, and they are potentially kind of concerned around the impact upon the business and the success that they're trying to aim towards has to change quite a number of different areas. And that's where this idea actually came from, was there are 5 key elements that define change and transformation in order for you to be successful. So they are process, people, technology, data, and culture. If you change one of them, so if you have great technology, as we saw on the market research, if you implement a great foundational platform for technology, but you don't put the right data in it, or you have the wrong culture in the business, it doesn't support you, or you don't have the right skill sets. And even if you do have the right technology, the right data, the right culture, the right people, but you don't have processes that allow people to actually be successful at this and measure impact, then you're going to fail. The actual project will not be as successful as you need it to be. So these 5 critical elements are really at the forefront of how do we bring about change. So if you look at the earlier topic that we discussed, Lisa, which is the aspiration and the resolution, that's an articulation at a really high level. These are the things I need to change. These are the things I want to achieve. And then you look at these 5, and this helps you to understand how every element is interdependent. As I just mentioned, you need to make changes to all of these 5 areas. And there's a really simple tool, if you like, an articulation that helps you plan and plot where these different elements are. So being able to assess kind of where you are around her data on a score of 0 to 5. And you can either get an independent to help you plan this out, or you can do it in written form. And one of the tools that we've brought to bear is kind of like this written approach to self-assessment, if you like, where you ask yourself questions about the people, the process, and actually by people, I don't mean an employee of yours. I actually mean a role or a set of skills. But if you follow this planning process through and you're able to actually articulate this in written form, you'll find that it's quite easy to work through a solid example, if you like. So this is a retailer that we worked with about 2 years ago, and we went through this process, writing down both aspirational and the resolution elements for process, people, tech, data, and culture. And you can see that you probably recognize a number of these words. Maybe they're applicable in your business. Certainly in places you may have worked before, you may recognize them. So they're all kinds of standard issues that you might see. And it's worth pointing out that BlueVenn as an organization and the customer data platform industry, they're both particularly geared towards making changes at the foundational level, which enable these things to change. So the easiest way you could possibly plan this out is graphically. Let's say on the top right of this screen, you have your vision, and you take process, people, tech, data, and culture, and you plot them around this sunscape, if you like. Everything is beaming towards the vision. Everything has to move from where it is now to where it needs to go. If you take processes and you actually write down what those processes are and where you need them to be, so that's the resolution, for example. So we've got 3 process examples here on the left-hand side. And if we make the change to where we need it to be, we're going to save 8 weeks of effort across the marketing team, and we're going to save 20,000 euros of cost over a 3-year period, for example. Now, if you take the same approach with people, technology, data, and culture, and you just look at what happens if I change it, that doesn't tell you how to change it. So we're very big advocates of stepped phase changes. Probably not a good idea to jump in with both feet, because it doesn't account for change or risk or any of those things. And of course, right now, in the world we're living in right now, if anyone was able to plan for this, we could have an extremely different world. But you need to account for what happens if my market changes, what happens if I have to change staffing levels, what happens if new technology comes out, all of those things. So processes, people, tech, data, and culture do not make one big change. Make intermediary changes in order to work towards that goal. So for example, step 1 might be to amalgamate processes. Step 2 might be to automate that process. And step 3 is then working towards the ultimate goal of this automated process, which is risk-free and no intervention from anybody in the organization. And if you plan out roughly how long each of those changes will take to do, or maybe if you work back from a date that you know you have to have it done by, you can actually plan out each of these intermediary changes with small steps. So with small baby steps, which are measurable impact on the business. So these are only suggestions, by the way. We have worked with organizations who maybe 3 months is a bit too quick. It's like turning the Titanic in their world. It might take a year or 2 years or 3 years, but each of these intermediary changes can be brought about very efficiently. And then if you were to do that same planning for people, skills and roles, technology, and how you're going to make intermediary changes with each of those, and within your data, how you're going to take it from where it is now through the intermediary steps over time to achieve your vision, what you're able to do is plan out what impact is going to have on the business in any given point in time. So 3 months, for example, we're going to have benefits. We will know where everything has to be. It also enables us to actually manage each of those changes. If I change my processes from now to where they need to be in 3 months, and I change my data and technology, but I haven't changed my skill set, so I haven't changed my culture, the project is going to stall. So this is a graphical representation of making stepwise changes across the board and transforming the business in order to achieve those aspirational and resolution of issues you have within the organization. So just as a really top tip then, so these are the top tips that we can share with you for at the highest level how you can take yourself through a change, is if you break down your project at summary level into aspiration and resolution, and then you accept that market research has shown that no matter how great you are at project management or cultural change, you're likely to fail without a good foundational platform for that change. And then you break it down into people, process, technology, culture, and data. You're able to easily articulate and easily manage each of those incremental changes. You can document the benefits. After each phase, you can review it. It's easy to change as well. If you have to change process, you have to change people, you can make small amendments. And it also allows you to make a cost versus benefit statement for aspiration, resolution, and each of the individual elements. So that's the way that we approach it from the consultancy team, Lisa. I know that whenever we've gone into these discussions with clients, we clearly don't do it within 20 minutes, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. It's normally over a series of workshops and a series of months in planning. So we've got a lot of clients here on screen who are clearly BlueVenn clients. Some are just starting their journey with customer data platform, and some have been with us for years. So across the client base, we can see, you know, who have moved through that 7-stage CDP maturity model and how we've helped them get to stages 6 and 7. And it's clearly not overnight. But if anyone's, you know, I'm sure we've got things that Anthony can share about different case studies and more information about anyone who, if you would like to drill into more detail. But you're right, Jim. These things don't just happen overnight. They're a series of workshops and collaboration and working out these pieces and these topics and these categories.
So I hope this helps.
Fantastic, thanks, Jim and Lisa. I think that session, sessions like this are very powerful. You know, it's only a very short glimpse at what you can do and the things that you need to consider for change. You know, within the allotted time slot. But yeah, really great. And obviously, you know, you can talk to us. We can talk to you if you want to expand into this in more detail. I think many marketing leaders are probably thinking about change at the moment. You know, to ensure you're ready for what we now seem to be calling the new normal when we come out of lockdowns around the world, namely an increased online consumer habits, as an example. So, I think using these principles will certainly help them to structure that thinking and that planning. And as a business, BlueVenn can help you through that planning, as we have done for hundreds of organizations before. So I'd like to now just have a look and see if we've got any questions that have been coming through. I've got one here asking how can we overcome the people gap in our organization? So Jim or Lisa, do you want to maybe look at that one?
Yeah, I'll take that one if that's okay, Lisa. Quite early on in engagements with new clients, we get asked, what kind of people do I need to do this? Either we're asked that question or we are told outright, we don't have the right skills at the moment to be able to do this. Now, bringing about change is not about bringing about change just within your people and your roles in your team. It also can mean other people and other roles within the organization and even third party. So let's say, for example, you actually have an agency that does all of your creative work for you. Maybe you want that to continue and maybe you want to bring that in-house. Understanding what those skills are, though, is a key part of transformation that we're talking about. The only time that the people gap really becomes an issue is if you have a blocker within the organization who fundamentally will not bring about any change. And that's happened. But I would say that if there are any roles or skill gaps in a team, they're quite easily overcome by asking the organizations that you work with, what kind of skills and roles do I require? And we can help you work through that, definitely.
Thanks, Jim. I think that just spurred a whole load of more questions to come in. We are going to have to close it down, though, so I'm going to have to come back to you, Jim and Lisa, and post some questions to you. Yeah, in fact, they're still coming in. So yeah, I think that's spurred everyone to get involved. Yeah, so very sorry. I do have those questions. I've got those saved. So I'm going to come back to you after this. So that's it. Later on, we've got some more sessions. So the next one coming up is the top 10 customer data platform frequently asked questions. That's actually an aggregated list of 10 top questions using keyword analysis online. From what we know are the top questions that we speak to at Gartner with the Gartner analysts, and also what we commonly get asked as well. So join us for that. If you've got any CDP burning questions, then hopefully we'll get those answered. We've then got David Raab joining us after that at about 10:30 Eastern time in the US, which is 3:30 UK time. So that would be great. And then we are going to be moving over to something else, another discipline, which is attribution, and how you can use that for profitable change. So that's our last session as well. Remember, there is a new episode of Join Digital every week, and you can see a snippet of the agenda for episode 3 next week on screen now. Delighted to welcome Upland, one of our technology partners, who are going to be with us next week. Registrations, the full agenda will be available this evening at bluevenn.com/join. Okay, so thanks very much. I hope you've had a lovely. I hope you have a lovely rest of the day, whatever you're going to be doing. Hopefully, it's coming in for more join sessions. Yeah, so hope to see you for the next session. And thanks a lot, and goodbye.